Hello one, hello all. It is the hoiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Jpeg Mafia, Danny Brown, collab album, Scaring the Hose. Danny Brown, Jpeg Mafia are pretty much the, what you would call underground heavyweights in terms of experimental rap. Like, their discography is pretty much flawless. From Danny Brown with X, Atrocity Exhibition, even the album before that, I felt like definitely grew on me. The hybrid, there we go, the hybrid. And also, you know what I'm saying, like pretty much a more mature album, sure, but still a decent one. And it was after that we didn't hear from Danny Brown for quite a while. He pretty much went on a hiatus. However, I do find it interesting how Jpeg Mafia was featured on there, and with this being the return, that he is doing a collab with Danny Brown on here. Now, Jpeg, however, definitely has a strong discography, from Veteran to even Black Ben Carson, I would say, is good as well. But yeah, like, Jpeg has been killing it with Veteran, All My Heroes Are Cornballs, the 2 EPs, the LP, like, he's just been unstoppable. So when I heard that these two were coming out with an album, I was like, blah, blah, blah. That I was pretty excited. So what we thought, though, or what teased the idea, was Danny Brown was coming out with an album that was the sequel to X. But when two giants such as Danny Brown and Jpeg are collabing, I could hold off on the X2 for now, but Danny, make sure you drop that album, because we need it. We need it. We need it. But anyway, yeah, with the last album Danny Brown putting out not being as dark, not being as experimental, but still decent in tone, I would say. You know, still a quality album that you should check out. But yeah. But now we're here. Now we finally got it. We got the collab album. And I must say, this was worth the wait. This was definitely worth the wait. This thing is 14 tracks, 36 minutes, and I was not disappointed. Like, I was not disappointed, and the hoes may be scared. But yeah, like, listening to the thing, I was just so enamored with everything that was coming my way. Like, I was a little on the fence when I heard the first single for this thing, because Danny Brown's vocals were a little buried in the mix, but they addressed it, they got wind of it, they fixed it, and now my only issue with the track is how short Danny Brown's verse is. And I do feel that is a issue that runs in this, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, aside from that, this thing is sonically abrasive. I wouldn't exactly say it's a nightmare, but it's definitely like one epic, I want to say, movie. It's like a film, but it's like very trippy, very sonic, very psychedelic. Like, we're getting like sample-based music here, from like pop to R&B from the 2000s, gospel, jazz, a little bit of rock, video games, like all in this grimy, bassy, textured Picasso painting of an album. I know I said it was a movie, but it's painting too. It's a lot of things. This album is just so textured and compact with so many layers to it, and I just can't get enough of it. I keep going back to this thing again and again and again. And there's not too many features on here, but what surprised me was the feature from Red Veil, who is a up-and-coming artist who delivers a fiery performance on Kingdom Hearts. And I, like, without looking at the track list, I thought this was like Denzel Curry, or I thought this was Earl Sweatshirt. So yeah, I do feel Red Veil should come into his own, but he still held it down. I still feel he brought a lot of energy on here. I do like the voiceovers that punch in here and there, so I feel like the ad-libs carried it. The lyrics on here are very clever, hilariously crass and sexual, like on the track God Loves You, where I'm listening and I'm like, leave it to atheist rappers to make a better album, to make a better song pertaining to holy references to a Christian rapper. And Danny Brown is like taking like Bible references and like flipping them in like a sexual way. But it's hilarious though. Like, go ahead, girl, bless me. If you on your period, call me Moses. I'm about to split the Red Sea. Oh my God. Like, it's like so absurd yet so fun. And I think sexual rappers should take notes. You should take notes on this. Not to mention the edgy jokes that just fly over very well. I feel like Peggy, like with the humor he has, the bars he has, like only he could get away with saying stuff like this. Honestly, where they're just taking shots at everyone from Jack Harlow to Elon Musk to Hulk Hogan and other bigots like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they're not playing nice. They're really not playing nice with anyone on here. I mean, the song is called Scaring the H.O.E, so that should be a disclaimer right there. And they actually do break down the word H.O.E on here, which translates to heaven on earth, where Peggy is like spitting these endearing sexual bars to like a love interest, but it gives me the idea that he's playing a character of like maybe a sleazy pastor or something, and then Danny is like on stage like spitting like these confessional bars, like he's basically going up there confessing his sins, I suppose. I mean, that's basically what I get for it, which I don't necessarily consider sins, but you know. And it just has these dramatic gospel-like organs, soaring choral samples. Peggy delivers like these high-pitched singing falsettos, and the super spiritual, fluttery, but yet haunting children choir vocals. It's a religious experience, man. You just gotta check it out. You gotta hear it to believe it. Believe that. Also, we get like such creativity on here. Like the creativity, the approach, the excellence, and just using raw elements like these manic hand claps on the track Scaring the H.O.E. I feel like this track is probably one of the only tracks on here that has a hook, which pretty much sharing the perspective of the normies who like that mainstream stuff and pretty much are more in tune with the cliches that go into the genre and the culture. Like, the materialism, the scams, the dancing. It just honestly feels like they're not trying to be catchy on here, but they've made like a catchy banger on here, like throughout this album. Even like, even if the hook isn't there, they still manage to find a way to use the elements to stick with you. Like on the song Fentanyl Tester, which has these repetitious Khalees vocals, which samples like go the fuck off. And it has me like thinking, like, I'm not a holy man, but I am praying that they got the sample cleared. I really hope they got the sample cleared. Like, due to the fact that they had that issue with LP on Hazard Duty Pay, and I just don't want to lose a gem such as Fentanyl Tester. Protect this song at all times. There's also the song Burfict that has these triumphant horns, like a charging epic feel to it. These pulsing, bold bass hits. Like, it's not too cleanly produced either, so it's epic, but it's not like cleanly produced like some gent shit. It's like something out of a Gladiator movie, except it has like a dark tinge to it, and like a grimy picture to it, like a vintage anime from the 80s, and there's just like a terminative death going on. It's grandiose, it's exhilarating, it has me lost for words. It's fire. The song Shut Your Bitch Ass Up Muddy Waters / Muddy Waters has these wacky vocal samples go like oh, these aggressive female vocal samples saying shut your bitch ass up, and with these reverb choral vocals, digital futuristic synths, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on this album, and I love the descending transitions here. And Jpeg like delivers probably some of the hardest wordplay that I've probably heard all year. Like, admittedly, due to addressing certain issues and just going off of the actor and the fraudulent nature of like people around him, like these drug addicts attached to me, like I'm Tom Holland, swing on these actors, these rappers faker than Andy Kaufman, Truman Show up with the truth and shoveled in a coffin. And the shot at Shia LaBeouf here for his shitty behavior goes hard too. And the back end just has like this absolute sonic freak out. Like something I would have heard on like an MF Doom album. And Jpeg and Danny, like, they're playing to their strengths here. Like, this time around, they're playing to their strengths, but it's on steroids. They're like combining harsh noise, some pop references, taking jabs at societal ills, just scumbags, which always I've loved about Peggy, like, and Danny. Like, Peggy has always been kind of like a hero, but yet not what many would perceive as a hero. Like, he's never too preachy, but he addresses bigotry. He addresses sexism. Like, he's very left-leaning, but he's not preachy when he's left-leaning. And he adds, like, humor to the mix that I can't get enough of. And a lot of aggression, too. And Danny, like, just, however, and just coalesces well with it, with, like, his off-the-wall bars and vocals, just complimenting Peggy's angst, and I absolutely love it. Like, this album's not trying to be political, but it's not taking any shit either. It's not trying to appeal to normies, but it has radio elements to it. And it's just thrown at you in like a very twisted style, in a very twisted kind of way. As far as complaints, I don't really have too many. Orange Juice Jones, I feel, has some clever liners, but doesn't really take off as much of a song, honestly. Not really that textured either. Run the Jewels, I feel, has like this wacky 80s synths type thing going on, but it doesn't exactly last very long, and I wish it did. because I would have been curious where this 80s synth adventure leads me, because it feels like I don't know, like they just got in a car and they're just like in like this flying car, and they're like these psychedelic backdrop, and I don't know, that's pretty much what I get from it. It's insane. And when it comes to song structure, it's very unpredictable, like kind of like the old Jpeg Mafia, like where you never knew what you were going to get because there wasn't really much of structure, but it still kept you engaged. But I still feel like sequentially, it still does its thing. It still keeps you on like this wild, exhilarating, tripped out, invigorating ride. So while there's not a lot of hooks here, like I said before, the samples, the elements delivered in such like an innovative sound collage way. And the album ends off with a minimal beginning, but goes into like a groove, and these powerful thematic horns just like pop into the mix, and these vintage jazzy psych piano organs just run through, and it's great. And of course Danny delivers, of course, very clever, thoughtful answer to the track title, Where You Get Your Coke From. But yeah, I feel samples are great, bars are great on here, energy's great on here, the fucking chemistry is great on here. Yeah, powerful album, one hell of a ride. I am feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this album. What did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Jpeg Mafia, Danny Brown, Scared the Hose. Till we meet again.